Some people, we were not doing this. I told some people we were going to wait until tonight to get this live stream going, but I'm not going to lie. I'm sitting around bored as hell, scrolling on my phone, and I've already done 2 drafts this morning, and I wanted to hop in some more, but I can only do 150 of these for Best Ball Mania, okay? So I need to make sure that we are trying to get as many of these on the live stream as possible, and I need to quit my addiction and instead turn it into my job, which means not only are we going to be drafting these 2022 fantasy football teams, probably going to be doing this for quite a while right now, but we are going to be streaming this as well. And of course, if you have not done so yet, please go down there, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell next to the subscribe button if you want to be able to go out and hang out with us in these live streams. I think we just got that chat pulled up, so let's slide over to Underdog, and yep, we're going to be diving into Best Ball Mania. Let's pull this up now. So this is going to be the tournament style contest. We've talked about this a ton, but just in case you have not had a chance to see it. So this is going to be a 12-team draft, and with these 12 teams, first place and second place are going to get paid. There's a small percentage of the league pot that goes to Underdog because that's how Underdog makes money. They pay me to get you to sign up, and they pay you to sign up when you use promo code FLOCK, as they'll match your deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. So yeah, they get paid. They have the 11% rake, but outside of that, there's a small portion of every league pot that is also held aside to be allocated during the tournament for the fantasy football playoffs. So you have 2 million to first, 1 million to second, 500,000 to third, and so on and so on. Yes, you get paid for getting first, you get paid for getting second, but what you really want to do is you want to make sure that you have that ticket into the fantasy football playoffs where you have the chance of winning some life-changing money. Let's hop in here. Looks like we got 2 spots left. These are filled, and come on, give us something good. Give us something good. Boat drafts this morning, we actually drafted around here, boat drafts this morning. 109, we are comfortable with this range. We have a couple names that are always out here. We got JN, Double D, No Super. We have so many people a part of the flock out here right now. Okay, this will be an interesting draft. Okay, so let's game plan here. We are at the 109. I'm not going to say who we are going with in the first. I would imagine because we are drafting with some members of the flock, our initial plan is not going to work out. We are probably going to have to pivot, but I'm going to keep my lips sealed for now, and we're going to wait until we get Jay Jetta's about to go. I believe there are, how many seconds left? This goes 9 seconds left. Let me give a shout out to everybody out here. We got Dylan, Lukey, Hayden, Christopher, Chow, Jimmy Chonga, Scoop, Flair, Young Prodigy, Jayan, Jacob, Caden, Ricky, Dennis, Jalen, Batmac. Thank you, of course, everybody for coming out. Jonathan Taylor 101, Cooper Cup 102. Nothing new here. This is what you should come to expect with these drafts. We're going to get McCaffrey, then you're going to get Justin Jefferson, then you're probably going to get Jamar Chase. The 106, that's where you start to see some things go off the rails. Now, earlier today, I actually ended up getting Austin Eckler at the 110 and Dalvin Cook in the second round, which let's see if something like that happens. Let's see if we have a player actually falling to us at the 109. It's interesting because I now have 2 drafts where we took Derrick Henry in the first and then followed up with Dalvin Cook in the second. And this one, maybe. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens here. I don't know if GDK is a part of the flock. They go Stephon Diggs. Our initial plan was to go Diggs, but if we're talking about building unique teams, very rarely are you going to get Derrick Henry making it to us at pick 9. So that means in the second round, we're going to be able to pair him together with a player that he's probably not on a lot of other rosters with. And keep in mind, we can't just think about this 12-team league. You also have to think about the combinations of players that are going to be in that tournament at the very end. If we are trying to have a chance at winning 2 million, if we're trying to have a chance at winning 1 million, my initial plan was to be going Stephon Diggs at the 109. Really like taking Diggs to the 109 and just sending up a prayer that you get Josh Allen making it to you in the third round, even though it usually doesn't happen. When it does, there's nothing prettier. There's nothing prettier. Okay, so let me go through and grab a link for whatever reason. If you have not signed up for Underdog Fantasy yet, fix your damn life. Go sign up. Start drafting with us. I'll send that out in the live chat. You can also find it in the description of the video. You can find it in the comment section. But now we have a little bit of a running back run happening. You got 4 guys in a row: Derrick Henry, Najee Harris, Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon. Let's see where. Okay. I'm liking what I see. I'm liking what I see. Where's Nate going to go? He goes Aaron Jones. Very interesting. Obviously, Aaron Jones is a reach here. There are a few players you prefer over Aaron Jones in this range. But going back to what we were talking about building around unique combinations of players at the beginning of your draft. While yes, in a vacuum, you probably prefer DeAndre Swift. You probably prefer Alvin Kamara over Aaron Jones. Because Aaron Jones always goes at the 2-3 turn, Joe Mixon always goes. We got an easy pick here. Marc Andrews. Lock it in. I would have preferred Kelsey. We would have preferred Kelsey. The more I look into this, I think we really need to be coming away with an elite tight end with how it helps us with our roster construction later on. But going back to what I was saying, that Aaron Jones pick looks very bad on the surface, but you have to take into consideration that here, not many teams are going to have the combination of Mixon and Aaron Jones. So even if you were bleeding out some expected value by passing on a DeAndre Swift for Aaron Jones with this pick, while yes, in a vacuum, that's bad. If all of a sudden you go from about that's an exaggeration, but you go from about 15% of the player pool having the combination of Joe Mixon and CeeDee Lamb or Joe Mixon and DeAndre Swift, then you're cutting that down to about 1% or 2% of the population of the player pool having the combination of both Joe Mixon and Aaron Jones. So you're thinking on a different level, but it's a different contest. It's not just that regular 12-team fantasy football draft. Okay, so you have Mike Evans at the 208, Tyreek Hill at the 209. Nothing seems out of the ordinary just yet. Nothing seems crazy just yet. And if you have not done so already, make sure you go sign up for Underdog Fantasy. Like I said, we already sent the link out there in the live chat. When you sign up for Underdog, make sure you're using promo code FLOCK. With promo code FLOCK, they will match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You will, on top of that, get our 2022 Dynasty Rookie Draft Guide. You will get our 2022 rankings, our 2022 rookie rankings, our 2022 Dynasty rankings. You will support this channel, and most importantly, have some fun getting to drafts with us in the live stream, which you can do it in the public lobby if you're scared of us. I understand. Trust me, I get it. But I would say you should probably try to come out and hang out with us in the live stream. Okay. So now you have Leonard Fournette, T. Higgins going. Yeah, this is what you come to expect. Nick Chubb goes at the 212. Let's see where Jet ends. Okay, so he does pass on wide receiver here. I was going to say it would have been very interesting to see him try to go with that hyper-fragile running back build and possibly try to take a Nick Chubb and a Javonte Williams here at the turn. I've tried to do it before, and really, I hate the strategy. I truly hate going running back, at least this year. Jayan says that's his first A.J. Brown share. Okay, Double D, a member of the flock, comes out here and he tries it for us. We're going to have to track this draft and see how it goes later on, going with Christian McCaffrey, Leonard Fournette, and Javonte Williams through the first 3 rounds. Okay, so let's go through and... Keenan Allen at the 305. San Diego's finest. Chargers fan, obviously. You're going to see Keenan Allen go there. I would imagine he's probably going to end up trying to get Justin Herbert either in the 4th or the 5th round. Brunel says, why is Nick Chubb's value so low? Really, just people have realized that Nick Chubb is a committee running back, which is what we've been saying for years since Kareem Hunt got there. Now, I will say, while Nick Chubb was oh my God, I don't think I've seen this before. I do not think I've seen this before. Saquon Barkley. Usually, I am not a fan. Not a fan at all. To be passing on wide receivers early in Underdog. To get Saquon Barkley at the 309. A running back that if you go back to his 2018, his rookie season, and you look at the fact that he had almost 20% of the targets on a per game basis in New York, and combine that with the fact that he had over 70% of the carries on a per game basis for the New York Giants, he looks like a prototypical workhorse running back, really the only running backs that have compared historically to that level of workload in both the receiving game and as a rusher have been Leonard Fournette, 2019 Jacksonville Jaguars, and Christian McCaffrey, 2019 Carolina Panthers, at least over the past 3 seasons. Yes, Barkley does have some injury risk. I don't care. The 309, I'm not going to complain with that value whatsoever. Hey, let me know if y'all have seen Saquon Barkley fall that far before. Pure Esports says, why do you use stats from 2018 to evaluate? Because if you're looking at Saquon Barkley, this is a running back that in 2019, he dominated on a per game basis as well, but it's harder to use that season because he did, I believe, miss 6 games with a high ankle sprain. And then if you're going to the following year, he tore his ACL at the very beginning of the season. This past season also suffered 2 separate injuries. So yeah, we can look at 2019. 2019, Saquon Barkley was also a top 5 running back on a per game basis, but it was a smaller sample, so I don't want to be reading too much into it. Okay, so now that we are on the clock, we can't afford to pass on the wide receiver position. Yes, you have Ezekiel Elliott, Darren Waller as decent values, but we have Andrews, we have Derrick Henry, we have Saquon Barkley. I think that we're probably just going to be overlooking them here. And let's go with DK Metcalf. With Metcalf, I do not like the quarterback play. Obviously, it is going to be a disgusting situation this upcoming season for the Seattle Seahawks. If you go through and if you look at the adjusted yards per attempt for Drew Lock, I believe his career average is hovering around 6.2 or 6.7. It's in the mid sixes. Let me pull this up real quick. I was just looking at this earlier today. Okay, so yes, with Drew Lock, 6.1. I apologize, not 6.2. So that would have been the 28th best quarterback this past season in adjusted yards per pass attempt. Russell Wilson has historically been a top 10 quarterback in that statistic. So you are going from top 10 quarterback play with DK Metcalf to bottom 5 quarterback play. If Drew Lock is the starting quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks this upcoming season, probably a bad pick. This is a team that also wants to run the ball more. You see this with them bringing back Rashad Penny, then drafting Kenneth Walker in the 2nd round. However, we need a wide receiver. We desperately need a wide receiver. And with Metcalf, he did see, I believe, 26% of this team's target share in Seattle this past season. So he does look like he is going to be that target hog, and he is overtaking Tyler Lockett finally as the wide receiver 1 in Seattle. It is what it is. We'll go Metcalf at the 404. JN goes Jerry Jeudy. JN going with his typical wide receiver heavy approach. Usually I'm right there with him, but the value that we've had in this draft, like we can't pass on Derrick Henry at the 109. I'm taking Marc Andrews even above CeeDee Lamb. I'm taking him above any wide receiver not named Stephon Diggs, Devonte Adams, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp. So I feel like the values we've had in this draft have caused us to deviate from going wide receiver early. But honestly, I'm a lot more excited with this draft than going, say, a Stephon Diggs, a Deebo Samuel, a Michael Pittman, and a DK Metcalf. I think this is even better. Okay, so now we have a George Kittle at the 412. This is good for us. This is very good. You see this team at the first spot. I don't know if they are a part of the flock, but with them going back-to-back elite level tight ends in Kyle Pitts and George Kittle, that is going to be driving up some of those mid-round tight ends up the board, like a Dalton Schultz, like a TJ Hawkinson, even someone a little later like a Dallas Goedert, because now you're going to see so many more teams have to draft 3 tight ends. Keep in mind, if you grab one of these top 5 options, you can get away from a roster construction of only having to draft 2 guys and being able to load up on extra wide receivers. Well, here it's going to be significantly harder. JN makes a great pick. Breece Hall at the 502. This is why I have felt so comfortable going wide receiver early in these drafts, because if you are selecting, say, here and you get Cooper Kupp in the first, while yes, it does pain you to go and pass on a Javonte Williams, almost 100% of the time you are getting either one of Breece Hall or David Montgomery making it back to you at the 4-5 turn, which, like, yes, you take Breece Hall over Gabriel Davis any day of the week. That's a fantastic drafting. That's why I've liked going wide receiver early, so we can get that set up for us a little bit later on. Okay, so Allen Robinson goes at the 505. Ooh, I do not know what's going to happen here. Okay, so 562 says Barkley over Akers, ? Hell yeah, we're going Saquon Barkley over Cam Akers. Okay, Travis Etienne. Obviously, we really wanted Lamar Jackson, but we had to be realistic with ourselves. The odds that we had Lamar Jackson fall to us, very slim. We can't get caught up on it. And now we need to be looking in a range of wide receivers that we are not excited about, to say the least. So the question is, do we go ahead and take a 3rd running back here at value with J.K. Dobbins falling behind his ADP? Or are we going to go ahead and quote unquote reach on a Rashad Bateman? I am going to be fine taking J.K. Dobbins. We are going to take Dobbins here as our running back 3. We're mixing it up. We're trying some new things out. Very, very, very rarely do I have 3 running backs through the first 5 rounds on our teams. But when we're getting Derrick Henry at pick 9, when we're getting Saquon Barkley at pick 33, and J.K. Dobbins at pick 57, hell, I'm game. I'm down for it. The difference between Bateman, Michael Thomas, Brandon Cooks, Darnell Mooney, not that large for me. Okay, so flocking up my dude does decide to go Michael Thomas. He also has a very strong start, a similar roster build to us with the elite level tight end in Travis Kelce. He was able to get the stack with Patrick Mahomes. Okay, so Thomas at the 5. Who? Antonio Gibson at the 5'11". Makes sense. Kyler Murray goes to the 5'12". The question was, if Kyler would have fallen back to us, could we have gone with a Kyler Murray? Love what this team here does with Nate. They go Kyler. They quote-unquote reach on DeAndre Hopkins. However, if you're looking at this, now they're going to be one of the very few teams that are able to bring in the double stack of Kyler Murray, Hollywood Brown, and DeAndre Hopkins, because usually you have Hollywood Brown going at the 3-4 turn, and you have DeAndre Hopkins going at the 6-7 turn. Those are opposite ends of the draft. Very rarely are there any overlap between those two players. So to get that double stack, it is going to be an interesting combination. And yeah, so you had Rashad Bateman as the best available wide receiver in the last round. I am going to be hesitant to take Bateman here, however, because we do already have Dobbins and Marc Andrews, and when we don't have Lamar Jackson, to spend half of our picks through the first 6 rounds on one offense, if we don't have that quarterback, we simply can't do it. It's something that maybe I would have gone down the road for earlier in the offseason, but Hayden Winks put out a very interesting stat showing off the stack correlations in the last week of best ball. And what it actually found is there is going to be a cap on how many players specifically early in the draft that you can stack from one team. Now, don't get me wrong. I love going and getting a quarterback and 2 of his pass catchers. I love going and getting a quarterback and a receiving running back and a pass catcher. Say go draft Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, and Christian Kirk. But for us to all of a sudden go, hell, let's load up on Marc Andrews, J.K. Dobbins, and Rashad Bateman. All of a sudden, we are going to cap our ceiling during that playoff stretch, even if we like the strategy from a season-long perspective. Now, if we would have had Lamar Jackson making it to us here in the 5th, and then Bateman would have made it back to us in the 6th, it's Bateman. You don't even think about it. But it's more difficult. And we are about to pass 100 likes in the live stream. Of course, thank you so much for everybody who's gone down there and dropped a like on the stream for us. I do appreciate all of y'all, and we're probably going to have a very long live stream today. I will say that. I've been having way too much fun with this. Like I said, we were supposed to stream later today. I don't know what to tell you. I'm sorry for the people. I know we told Mark in the Dynasty premiere that we'd be streaming around like 7 Eastern. I was about to hop in a draft, and I need to be streaming these drafts. I also think it's good for me to stream these drafts because I am held accountable in that I have to go through it and I have to verbalize every pick that I make, and I have to talk about the strategy behind these picks and what I'm thinking here. So hopefully this helps me become a better drafter. Hopefully it helps you become a better drafter. More importantly, it's fun. That's why I really like doing it. Okay. Jayan says, just went back, seen Saquon Barkley go at the 309 and the 310 once. Okay, very interesting. Very interesting. GA says, we got puppy news. Ooh, let me pull this up. Is the puppy announced? Okay, so if you don't know, so right now we are in Underdog Fantasy. So this is a $25 contest, but they also have a puppy contest, which is very similar. Now it's not $2 million the first, it's not $1 million the second, but instead it's going to be a $5 buy-in. So if you want to go through and if you want to do 50 of them, you can spend all off season and or do 40 of them. Not even $200, because if you deposit $100 with promo code FLOCK, they'll match the deposit dollar for dollar to $100. You'll have $200 in your account. For $100, you can do 40 drafts, have a shot at last year. I think the top prize for the puppy drafts was $250,000. Obviously, it's a long shot. It's like a scratch off ticket. But okay, I don't see anything here. I think we're probably just gonna have to wait a little bit. Hopefully, the puppy drafts come out soon. Leaving the race coming out, asking for our entire roster here. If you are just now getting in, we went Derrick Henry in the 1st, Andrews in the 2nd, then Saquon Barkley, J.K. Dobbins in the 3rd and the 5th, and DK Metcalf, Darnell Mooney at wide receiver. So it is going to be interesting on where we take it from here because it's going to be difficult to bring in stacks. I'm not too excited about grabbing Justin Fields. I will say Justin Fields and his price point a lot lower than it previously has been. You don't even know who you're supposed to be drafting if you're going to try to go through and stack DK Metcalf. Oh, AJ Dillon making it all the way here. Are you freaking kidding me? Let's see what happens. Chimichanga on the clock. He goes AJ Dillon. I think I had tunnel vision here. I had tunnel vision going boom, boom, boom. We are going wide receiver. We are going wide receiver. We are going wide receiver. The wide receivers aren't the value here. Joe Burrow, ADP of 66. Even though we don't have a stack, we can bring in Hayden Hurst later on as our second tight end. We can go out there and grab Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd will definitely be a target of ours. For us to go through and pass on Joe Burrow, pick 81 when he has an ADP of 66, and to be able to pair him alongside some of these, I don't think we can do it. I think we have to grab Joe Burrow. The wide receiver, I need receiver. We only have 2 on the team, and we waited to grab them as well. I'm right there with you. I understand. We need the position. But look at this quarterback value. And especially if we take Burrow here, we're only going to have to draft 2 QBs. We're only drafting 2 quarterbacks if we get Burrow here. Okay, so Russell Wilson goes at the 7-11. Nate on the clock. Nate's been very interesting in this draft. He's not been afraid to reach on his players. He has been going out there and creating stacks at the same time. He goes Miles Sanders at the 7-12 as his third running back. Okay, Snake Eyes. Okay, everybody here. Ooh, I do not know what to expect. Dallas Goedert goes. Okay, so Dallas Goedert going is probably a pretty good thing for us because we do have Marc Andrews on this team. Like I said, we want to keep it in our back pocket where we can take Hayden Hurst a little bit later on. So it would probably be a pretty good idea to not reach on another tight end in this range. Lockett goes. I was really hoping we had Lockett making it to us. I like Lockett as a player overall, and I would also like to bring him in to this team that has DK Metcalf, essentially saying, hell, if we somehow, some way get a quarterback upgrade to Seattle, if we get Baker Mayfield going over, if we get Jimmy Garoppolo going over, hell, maybe this team has upside for both of those players. The only wide receiver left in this tier we have to take, Hunter Renfrow. Not excited about Hunter Renfrow this upcoming season. I think he will significantly regress due to the addition of Devonte Adams. Devonte Adams soaking up about 28% of this team's target share. And even if Devonte Adams doesn't get to his usual 29-30% target share as he had in Green Bay, you're still going to be expecting Darren Waller to come back in. Remember, a lot of this production you had from Hunter Renfrow at the end of last season was whenever you did not have Darren Waller in that offense. You had Henry Ruggs, obviously off the team, and then a Darren Waller injury, and all of a sudden, that's what you had with the elite breakout in Hunter Renfrow. Okay. So Jayan says, I passed on him in case he fell. Was just hoping for some great Best Ball Mania 3 value. Okay, so I don't know who you're referring to in this range. It is interesting to see Jayan go with Amon-Ra St. Brown and TJ Hawkinson on the turn. I'm assuming Jayan's kind of locking himself into potentially going with Jared Goff at the very end of this draft. Okay, so Damian Harris, Tony Pollard. I guess we could go Derek Carr. Derek Carr would be a target in about the 10th round. It will depend on some of the other options in that range. I really do like guys like James Cook, Devin Singletary to go out there and target and just try to get touches in one of the best offenses in the NFL at a discount, given the fact that that backfield's currently uncertain, but we'll see what makes it to us. Okay, so you have Garrett Wilson, Allen Lazard. It is crazy to go from a dynasty fantasy football perspective where obviously we're all about Garrett Wilson based on his pure talent to here Garrett Wilson going 23 picks behind Treylon Burks. And it's not out of the ordinary at all. That's what you should come to expect in reality whenever you're looking at Garrett Wilson. It's just because that offense, it's very hard to get excited about the New York Jets. Okay, so I want to see where Jet NS has gone so far with this draft because they did have the very interesting start where they went through and they took 2 tight ends at the top. They went Jonathan Taylor, Nick Chubb, round 1, round 2, then Kyle Pitts, George Kittle, Cortland Sutton in the 5th. Y'all know I hate me some Sutton. Like going back, obviously Nick Chubb looks like great value here, but I hate to say it because in a vacuum, Nick Chubb is a better draft pick than A.J. Brown. 100%. I can't deny that. Nick Chubb is a better draft pick than Keenan Allen. I can't deny that. But having to take Courtland Sutton when Breece Hall and David Montgomery are available, it just seems horrible. But if you go through this far without grabbing a wide receiver, you have to take one or you're going to be in a world of pain. So that's why I'm willing to take a worse player in the second or the third round, and I'm willing to pass on someone like Nick Chubb in some of these drafts. Not all of them, but in some of these drafts, just so we can set ourselves up with the great value in the 5th round. Okay, so Derek Carr does go off the board right before us. It is what it is. We're not going to be stressing about it. Okay, so now that we are on the clock, we still need to bring in some wide receiver help. So if you're looking at Marquez Valdes-Scantling, of course, it's hard to go out there and say that Marquez Valdes-Scantling is going to be some fantastic option in Kansas City, guaranteed. He's going to be the field-stretching wide receiver. They do add in Juju Smith-Schuster. They also add in Sky Moore. For that reason, we're going to go through and we're going to take Robert Woods. We're going to do it. It would have been an interesting conversation to have to talk about the potential of grabbing a Kareem Hunt or a Matthew Stafford here. But if we're looking at the running back position, if I wanted to grab a 4th guy here, which we probably don't to be completely transparent, I am not too excited about the drop-off you're going to get from Robert Woods to some of these other wide receivers versus Kareem Hunt, James Cook, Melvin Gordon. They're all about the same, and you also have to look at all these teams that have 3 running backs in between us. So it's hard to imagine that these teams just go out there and soak up all these guys. Leaving the races, that picture of Joe Burrow, LOL. Yeah, no, Underdog went out there, and Underdog also has player props. I'm not going to pull them up, but they have player props for everything that you'd want as well. And last year, they had the special for the Super Bowl, Joe Burrow half a passing yard. So you go through, bet $25 and essentially get that guaranteed. Oh my God. Please, someone take Kareem Hunt. Someone take Kareem Hunt because I'm telling you right now, he would be a bad pick for this team, but I don't know if I could resist. Nate, please take Hunt. Take Hunt. You know you want to do it. Okay, he's off the board. I thought we were going to have to take him just based off the value, even though he would not have fit this roster construction. There's one player everybody in this chat should know we are targeting at this point. Everybody should know it. Snake Eyes has 2 quarterbacks. They went Stafford. Stafford, great value as well. I am slightly concerned about this draft devaluing the quarterback position based on where we got Burrow. So I don't want to just continue to grab Stafford here based on some of the wide receivers that could be available to us later. But everybody spam the chat right now. There's one player I'm targeting. Spam the chat if you know who it is. Right now we have Burrow at quarterback, running back Henry, Barkley, Dobbins, wide receiver Metcalf, Darnell, Hunter Renfrow, Robert Woods. Tight end, we have the elite option in Marc Andrews. Okay, so everybody spam it in. Let's see it. Okay, so I think, yeah, it's easy. It's easy. Tyler Boyd, obviously. Tyler Boyd, happy to get this. And I honestly think we are still in play to go through and take Hayden Hurst here. Yeah, obviously, Hayden Hurst doesn't look like he's the most talented tight end in the world, but just getting pieces of the Cincinnati Bengals offense whenever we do have Joe Burrow as our quarterback is going to be pretty nice. And I really like this team. I think we have gotten so much better at drafting these underdog teams. Like, even if you go and pull up our drafts last year, I want to say that it's a night and day difference. So if we go through our running back position, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, J.K. Dobbins, we have the elite level tight end in Marc Andrews, we have Joe Burrow, and then at wide receiver, DK Metcalf, Darnell Mooney, Hunter Renfrow, Robert Woods, Tyler Boyd. Now, yes, it's a weak wide receiver core. But you could argue we are pretty much elite everywhere else. We're definitely elite at running back. We are elite at tight end. Quarterback, I would say we are average to above average. Okay, so let's go through grabbing Kirk Cousins at the 10:01. And for everybody wanting to get into the next draft, I promise you we're going to do another one after this. I'm not going to say, oh, if we hit 200 likes, we'll get another draft going. I'll just do another one. Now, of course, if you could drop a like on the live stream, I would genuinely appreciate it, but you don't have to. I have nothing to do today. I think we have to walk the dog in probably about 2 hours, but I may be able to get 3 drafts going in this stream. Now, JN on the clock here at the end of the 10th. He goes Rashad Penny at the 10-11. We have such a balanced team. I do not care what falls to us. I don't care what goes off the board here. Alexander Madison at the 11:01. Okay, so that was the team that started off with 2 running backs with Taylor and Nick Chubb. Let's see. It would be... I don't know. Gesicki goes to the 11:02. Okay, so tight ends are getting soaked up, but we have Andrews. We're fine with it. We're fine with tight ends getting soaked up. Okay, let's pivot this back over. Ooh, sorry about that, everyone. Slide this back down. Okay, Rondale Moore, best player available according to ADP. There's no screaming values right now. You could go anywhere you want on this board. You could go anywhere you want on this board. Rondale Moore is officially out of here. Ooh. I will say Ramondre Stevenson and Damien Pierce are some of my most drafted players, not because I love Damien Pierce by any means, but just because I find myself drafting so many 0 running back teams, waiting until round 5, waiting until round 6 to grab our first running back. And there, Damien Pierce does fit a lot of these builds because if you're just looking around, the wide receivers in this range, not too exciting. Not too exciting to be taking someone like Mecole Hardman. Not saying we are going to pass on him here. I don't want to say we're going to pass on him, but you're just never smiling after that draft pick, unless you're a crazy person. Okay, so flocking up my dude. I'm just checking these rosters behind us. Isaiah Spiller goes to the 11:08. We're going to go ahead and take Ramondre. No, we're not. Yeah, we're going to go Ramondre Stevenson. Don't love the pick at all. Not excited about it, but you're in no man's land here. You're in no man's land. And I think if we go Ramondre Stevenson, like the wide receivers in this range, I'm passing on. I don't have any strong feelings for Devontae Parker, for Jacoby Myers, for Jamison Crowder. I think we are going to stop at 5 running backs. So we're going to stop at potentially 2 tight ends, 2 quarterbacks, 5 running backs. So it's going to allow us to bring in 9 wide receivers with this roster. 9 wide receivers with this team. So even though we're weak at the top of the wide receiver position, based on the best ball setting, I think when we allocate 9 roster spots for it, we are going to be able to overcome the lack of top end talent. Okay, so Nate on the clock. Yeah, these teams between us, they just have a lot. I mean, there were a couple teams with 4 running backs. Maybe we should have passed on Ramondre. Like the difference between Rojo, Rachaad White, and Ramondre Stevenson for me is not massive. Maybe we should have passed on him. Nick says, do you pay any mind to bye weeks? I pay mind to bye weeks if we are drafting 2 quarterbacks or 2 tight ends. There, I am double checking to make sure that we are not lining them up with the same bye. But outside of that, no, don't care, not looking. Because think about it. So much of the money and so much of your success is going to come down to what happens at the very end of the year. And nobody's in bye week 15. Nobody has a bye week 16. Nobody has a bye week 17. Okay, so Snake Eyes, Jamison Crowder at the 12:02. Flocking up my dude. Ooh, if I don't want to say, I'm not going to say anything. Actually, I guess they do have so many Kansas City Chiefs players. That Marquez Valdez-Scantling selection by them was fantastic. Alex says, drafted with you earlier. Did you go Eckler and Dalvin? Yes, that was me. I was actually just talking about that draft earlier. In that draft, I got boxed out of the quarterback position. Really did not like the end of it, even though I loved the beginning. And here, let's go ahead and let's take Justin Fields, stacking him up with Darnell Mooney. So now we have 2 quarterbacks. I think we can stop at these 2 QBs as well, because while I'm not a massive Justin Fields fan, y'all know that by now, still we can acknowledge the fact that he should be able to provide some spike weeks based on the rushing upside. And if we go through, highlight this team, at quarterback, we are going to have Joe Burrow, Justin Fields, running back Henry, Barkley, Dobbins, Ramondre Stevenson, Tight end, we have the elite level option, Marc Andrews, so we only have to draft 2, and a wide receiver, DK Metcalf, Darnell Mooney, Hunter Renfrow, Robert Woods, Tyler Boyd. Very weak at wide receiver. Very weak at wide receiver, but that's how this draft fell. I'm honestly, I don't think I can regret too many of these picks. And we are just going to hammer these wide receivers from here. We are adding one more running back, one more tight end, and the rest we're just drafting receiver. Caden says, GDK92 ruined my draft. Okay, let's go through and let's check out what happened here. Okay, so GDK92 ruined Caden's draft. Has he done anything out of the ordinary? He took Herbert, so I guess he stole Keenan Allen from Herbert. He took Lance. Did Caden? I don't know. Maybe he just sniped him on one of these running backs in this range. Okay, let me know what he did. Let me know what he did. And Jet is here taking 2 running backs. I guess that's going to be his 3rd and 4th when he started Taylor and Nick Chubb. Yeah, so that's not too many running backs by any means. You definitely have to slow down when your first 2 picks are the running back position. But I can't talk. We had 3 running backs through 5 rounds. So it's not like I have a ton of room to say anything. Caden says, I just wanted Herbert for the combination of Keenan and Eckler. Oh, I didn't even see that you took Eckler as well, my man. Okay, so JN on the clock. Really, JN has killed this. This is how I love attacking these drafts. Like, I'll show off JN's draft in a bit, but we are going to be back up on the clock soon. Like I said, one more running back, one more tight end, and then receiver. And I'm not saying we're taking a running back, then a tight end, then receivers. Maybe we go 2 wide receivers here. It just depends on the value. I actually kind of like some of these players making it back to us. George Pickens. I would have taken Pickens. Okay, so Jalen Tolbert. GDK. Let's see where he goes. He has no tight ends yet. He has a double stack with Lance, Debo, and Ayuk. He has Herbert, Isaiah Spiller, Mike Williams. I really like this guy's team. He's going to have to draft 6 RBs. He goes David Njoku. Exactly what we needed. Exactly what we needed. Took Justin Fields in the last round. Going to go through. Y'all know I like Cole Kmet. Regardless if we had Justin Fields or not, I love Cole Kmet here. This is going to be the 2nd receiving option in this offense. I mean, if you're looking at a target share perspective, he did command volume last year. Now, the issue was obviously just this offense was so damn bad. And also, he scored no touchdowns. But if you're looking at how many targets Cole Kmet had in this offense, there's no reason to expect that he is significantly below the league average in touchdown rate going forward. Getting Cole Kmet here as the double stack. Darnell Mooney, Justin Fields, Kmet. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Colin says, how much emphasis do you put on the final projections? Very little. Very little. Now, if you're looking at your projections and you project to score like 2,200 points, obviously you can go, what went wrong here? But something that happens a lot in these underdog drafts, which I kind of like, is you'll have a team auto drafting. And when a team is auto drafting, sometimes they'll come out with like 4 quarterbacks, 2 wide receivers, 7 running backs, and 4 tight ends. And you'll see they have a projection for like 3,000 points, the most in the league. The projections mean nothing on underdog if you're looking at trying to rank teams. And obviously it's nice when the team's auto drafting so they can peg the rake for us. I guess now probably want to go wide receiver, but thing is, DJ Chark goes. Corey Davis is great value. Daryl Henderson's a fantastic pick here. I can't go Daryl Henderson, though. Like, especially in best ball, because Daryl Henderson does have the weekly floor. And if Cam Akers were to go down, he has the ceiling as well. Corey Davis is off. It sucks. The running backs obviously are the best values here. I have to say it. I have to agree. The running back is the value. But we have Henry, Barkley, Dobbins, Ramadre. We are trailing everyone with wide receivers. Will Fuller does not have a team. We'll draft Will Fuller here and really hope that he lands in Cleveland and really hope that he can stay healthy 6 games this upcoming season. And if he stays healthy 6 games this upcoming year, You know we're going to have some random spike weeks popping in. So we're going to take him at the 1404. There are better players available. This is why I really don't like drafting running backs early on Underdog in particular, because it's literally just once you get later in these drafts, like wide receivers soaked up. There's nothing there. And I want to be like JN. Instead of going through and taking the Alec Pierce, the David Bell, the KJS, I want to be taking like Michael Carter and Rashad White in this range. I want to be taking Daryl Henderson over Joshua Palmer. You just can't do it if you don't grab your wide receivers early. Dylan says, stole Will Fuller from me. Really wanted him to pair up with Deshaun Watson. Yeah, my man, I think I had no other option but to go with the wide receiver and either Will Fuller or Joshua Palmer there. Okay, so Zach Wilson goes to the 1408. Obviously, quarterbacks going off the board. Fantastic for us. We have Burrow. We have Fields. We're done at 2 QBs. And we are going to get another draft going after this. So do not go anywhere. We got about 3 rounds left in this draft. And then we are right on to the next one. And I may try to get 3. We may try to get 3 going today. So, of course, if you could, please drop a damn like. Drop a like on the live stream. All I do every single day is fantasy football, fantasy football, fantasy football. This is my passion. This is my life. Help us get out there. Help it. It's already my job, but help me keep it my job. Okay, so Sammy goes at the 1411. Daniel Jones at the 1412. Okay, Daniel Jones going there is perfect. See what's available. Yeah, see, you still have running backs. So, like, there's a chance that we even end up taking a running back on the way back around. That's why I'm really happy with our decision to pass on Daryl Henderson. In a vacuum, I think he was the right call, but in this league in particular, I don't think we could have gone with him. Odell Beckham Jr. at the 1504. A big thing with Odell is if you just look, he's probably going to miss the first, say, 6 weeks of the season. Now, if he does sign with the team, he's probably going to sign with the contending roster. Odell Beckham Jr. has made a ton of money in his NFL career. He went to play for the Rams on a pretty good discount this past season. So he's probably going to sign with a contender, a good passing offense. And if he goes and signs with a good passing offense and he misses the first 6 weeks of the season, not many teams are going to own him in the tournament. Not many teams are going to own him in the tournament. So if you can make it there with Odell and he does spike in either weeks 15, 16, preferably 17, you're going to have an advantage over the rest of the field. Okay. These 3 running backs are the same to me. They're the best picks in a vacuum, but we got to keep going wide receiver. It's like drafting wide receivers on Underdog in best ball leagues. It's like eating your vegetables. You don't like it. You're not in love with it, but you got to do it or you have no shot. So we're going to go Curtis Samuel. Thing is, some of those teams behind us, I think they need wide receivers themselves. Okay, so let's see where Flocking Up My Dude takes it. Tyrion Davis-Price. Jamal Williams. Okay, so they do have the running backs going. I'm fine if the running backs go. We have 4 top options. Who was our 4th? Ramondre. Okay. Where is Nate taking this? He got Matt Ryan to pair up with Michael Pittman as well. Nate definitely reached on a couple of these players, but that's kind of what you have to do if you're picking at the turn. If I were to bet where the the tournament winning team comes from this upcoming season, I honestly think it will be from one of the ends of the draft. I think it will either be the 112, 111, 110, or the 101, 102, 103, because those are the ranges where you can build unique combinations. In the middle, it's a little tougher. Gus Edwards goes to the 1601. I would have liked Gus Edwards making it to us. I'm fine with it not happening, though. Running backs in the last round. I'm fine taking a running back in the last round. There are a couple names that I actually really like in the last, where a wide receiver kind of dries out a little sooner. Okay, Julio Jones goes to the 1602. Gerald Everett at the 1603. Okay, spam the chat right now. Everybody spam it. Do you want John Mechie or Wandel Robinson? AJ Green actually may be in play because we have Robert Woods with the injury. We have Will Fuller. We don't necessarily know if Will Fuller is going to be able to get to a hot start early. I think any of these wide receivers are in play. Spam the chat if you want John Mechie, AJ Green, or Wandel Robinson. Which one? You have to do it fast. Okay. Looks like we are mainly John Mechie. So we're going to go John Mechie here at the 1604. I think we had to go with a wide receiver. AJ Green would have been intriguing, just as I was saying, because we have Robert Woods, and Robert Woods will miss the beginning of the season, and AJ Green should see the majority of his production during that time period when you have DeAndre Hopkins suspended as well. But we'll just take John Mechie. Okay. Logan Thomas at the 1606. Good. Get these wide receivers off. Get these wide receivers off. Ooh, I'm sorry. Let me move my little screen here for everyone. And I'll go through and show the entire draft board in 1 second. We are about to get another draft going as well. Okay, Hayden Hurst goes to the 1607. Hayden Hurst was a player that we thought we were going to be taking to get that Burrow stack, but don't really need it when we had Cole Kmet making it to us. And I definitely prefer to have Cole Kmet between the two, even with his ADP. So let's go through, and nobody really cares too much to see the end of this draft. And let's go and let's check out Chimichanga's draft. He is always in these drafts with us. He goes Devonte Adams to the 107. My man, you know, last year I was taking Adams in the first. He was probably my most drafted player in the first round because we were taking him as early as 103. He had an insane floor and ceiling combination. I personally think you have to have Devonte Adams behind Stephon Diggs this upcoming year. I'm really not drafting Adams much this season based on not only the quarterback downgrade, love me some Derek Carr, but he's nothing compared to Aaron Rodgers, but also this will be the most target competition Devonte Adams has seen in the last 5-6 years, really since like 2015 or maybe even 2014. So yeah, with the target competition, with the quarterback play, I'm taking Stephon Diggs here. Stephon Diggs has less competition and better quarterback play, and he's still an elite level wide receiver. Swift, completely fine with Swift in the second. I've actually been drafting a ton of Waddle, not really at the 307, but I think here I probably would go Barkley, Darren Waller. Okay, I'm assuming you got Derek Carr. Okay, yeah, Derek Carr, get the double stack with Waller and Adams. Travis Etienne, A.J. Dillon. Love the A.J. Dillon value. Love the Rashad Bateman value. Ooh, and you get the double stack with Travis Etienne, Christian Kirk, and Travis Etienne as well. I'm sorry, Trevor Lawrence, Christian Kirk, and Travis Etienne. Okay, yeah, so I really like that team. I personally think in the first round, I can't find myself going through and taking Devonte Adams there, even though we were last season. It's just a much tougher spot now. Okay, so now we are going to be drafting one running back and one receiver. Based on the running backs making it back to us here, I am very happy with our decision to pass on running back in favor of the receiver position in the last round. Okay, our wide receivers are so gross, but we have 9 of them. We have 9. Okay. And at the wide receiver position, usually I kind of like going after someone that's not being drafted in every single one of these. I guess, like, you can't draft the Cincinnati player. You can't draft the Cincinnati wide receiver. You wouldn't even know who the fourth option is. Like, even if someone did get hurt, you'd imagine they'd probably just go out there and sign someone. We could go Velus Jones whenever we have Justin Fields. That's probably what we'll do. It's not exciting. I know people prefer Byron Pringle. Last time I asked the chat, whenever we took Justin Fields in a draft between Velus Jones and Byron Pringle, everybody spammed Pringle. This time, we'll mix it up. We'll mix it up, especially when we have so many wide receivers. We're just saying, Velus Jones, can you just have one long touchdown? Can you use the speed and have one 80-yard touchdown, and then we are done with your services for the rest of the year? Okay, so do we want Brian Robinson or Marlon Mack? We're going to go Marlon Mack. I have Brian Robinson. Actually, is one of my most drafted players this upcoming year. So we'll go Marlon Mack. Just hopefully he falls into some work. And then wide receiver, let's go through and let's queue up. Where is Velus Jones? We'll queue up Jones, Byron Pringle. We took Byron Pringle in a previous draft, but at the same time, Byron Pringle is getting drafted in almost every single one of these leagues where Velus Jones is not. So having some uniqueness there is going to be nice. We'll just queue up a couple other players so I can bounce out of this draft. I will show this entire board one more time for everyone, and then we are getting into a new fantasy football draft. So get ready to join the lobby as I do. But I will warn you. If you say, Mason, I only have 25, I only have 30, I only have $50 in my underdog account, I need to make sure that I'm getting in a draft with you and not in the public lobby. I'm saving this to get in a draft in the live stream. Now's probably not going to be your time to try to get in a draft because this may fill very quickly and you may get into a second draft. Now, if you plan on drafting with us all offseason, then sure, come, hop in. If not, you can just hang out regardless. But let's pull this up. We're going to go over to Best Ball Mania, the tournament style, and let's get this in. We'll do a lot of private drafts as well. Okay, we have 10 spots open. There were 10 spots open when we got in here. 7, 5, 4. Okay. I honestly don't like drafting with y'all, though. Like the drafts that I do not on the live stream, I feel like are a lot better just because usually people aren't auto drafting. People are kind of on top of their game whenever they're in these with us. What are you going to do? Okay, we're drafting at the 112. We were talking previously about the winning team probably coming from the beginning of the first or the very end of the first. I think it's going to be hard to have a truly unique build from the middle of round one. I don't think we've had a single draft at the 112 so far. The 112 shouldn't be too different than the 111. I think Yum Yum, Double D, No Soup for You, Dane, Patty Mac, Chimichanga. I think a lot of people in this draft are a part of the flock right now. If I did not say your name and you are a part of this live stream, a part of the flock, please spam the chat. Let me know. Let me know who you are. Okay. 112. Are a couple players I want to make it to us. We could also look to do what we actually saw in the last draft. And I know the reason I'm hesitant to do this on the live stream, like I'm more willing to do this just whenever I'm drafting by myself, like in the morning. Taking someone, say, like Travis Kelce, like a CeeDee Lamb, like a Joe Mixon, like a Marc Andrews, taking someone that almost exclusively goes at the 112, or the 201, right here in this range, and then pairing them up with someone that almost exclusively goes at the 212 or the 301. So what I would mean by that is taking a Joe Mixon and then saying, hell, Joe Mixon's 99% of the time either going at the 110, the 111, the 112, the 201, the 202, or the 203. And then going and looking at someone on the other end of the spectrum, like A.J. Brown, who 99% of the time is going through and being selected at the 212, 211, 210, or the 301, 302, 303. So the overlap between these two players is going to be non-existent. So while, yes, we are taking a worse player intentionally, while, yes, if we were, I'm not saying these are the guys we're drafting, but if we were to go ahead and grab A.J. Brown and take him over a Mike Evans, over a Deebo Samuel, over a CeeDee Lamb, it would look very bad whenever you're looking at the screenshot, and our median projection would be lower. But if those were the winning combination of players this upcoming season, we would be one of the very few teams in the entire tournament with that combo. I'm hesitant to do it on live stream, as I said, just because I know so many people are not going to really look at the context of it and go, oh my God, this guy's an idiot. Look at him take A.J. Brown over Mike Evans. He has no idea what he's talking about, even though when A.J. Brown had a higher ADP than Mike Evans, I came out and I said that was ludicrous. And we made a video on that. We have that on record, but just as an example. Okay, Kelce goes. God dang it. Kelce goes. Really wanted Travis Kelce. We're taking Marc Andrews here. Based on some of the research I've done, I think having one of these elite level tight ends is going to be a difference maker. So the question is, do we want to go with best player available, or do we want to try to create a unique build? Do we want to go Marc Andrews and Devonte Adams, Or do we want to try to mix it up? Do we want to try to get cute with it? And do we want to try to go Marc Andrews and A.J. Brown? We're not going to try to get cute with it for the live stream. If you see me drafting in the public lobby and you see a random pick like that, I'm just explaining my thought process. But here, because we're on a live stream, I want to be responsible. I want to just come out and say, we're trying to make the best team possible. We're going to go Marc Andrews and Devonte Adams. I truly do think grabbing that elite level tight end and only having to draft 2 of these guys does give you a significant advantage over the field that I am trying to take advantage of. Dylan says, I'd really hope you'd pass on Andrews so I could grab him too. I was reading an article on RotoViz about this, about teams historically going out there and grabbing 2 of the elite level tight ends. Maybe in years past that was going and taking Travis Kelce and then George Kittle at the 1-2 turn, or taking Travis Kelce and Darren Waller. Data shows that it's very hard to pull that off. Now, if you were to say grab Travis Kelce and then get a Darren Waller at the 402, historically, and the article I was reading was dating back to, I believe, 2017. Like, that was the sample they were looking at. You can get away with it then. And hopefully I'm not botching. Hopefully I'm not botching what I read, but I know it's fun to get cute with it and take, say, a Travis Kelce and a Marc Andrews at the turn, which I've seen a decent amount of teams do. I think it's hard to pull off successfully. As Zach says, already in like 15 Best Ball Manias, gonna wait till we're closer to the season to hop in more. 100%, guys. If y'all have already done a lot, I would just wait until the beginning of the season. Because if you're looking at the beginning of the year as well, there's what's called a barbell approach. This is something else that a lot of people have been preaching. So if you're looking at your average points scored, so the average points scored for a team that's drafted in May versus a team that's drafted in August, the team in August is going to, on average, be a better team and score more points than the team in May. The reason for this is you're going to be drafting a lot of players at the very end of these drafts, like a Sammy Watkins, that could potentially get cut. We are going to be seeing players like Justin Ross being drafted in the last round here that could potentially get cut. So A, you're going to dodge those landmines when we have more information in August, and B, you're going to dodge the injuries. Remember Travis Etienne, remember Cam Akers, remember J.K. Dobbins. But it's called a barbell approach because you should be doing a lot of your drafts in August, but you should also be doing a lot of your drafts in May and June. And the reason for that is in May and June, that's when you're going to be able to take advantage of the ADP gaps in a James Robinson, in a Daryl Henderson, in those players, or not a Gus Edwards because Gus Edwards went down, but before those injuries occur, before you know the exact depth charts, what's going to end up happening is if you were to go through, and this is present in the data as well, if we were to say grab Kenneth Gainwell in the 13th round in this draft and then Miles Sanders goes down, we have a juggernaut. So what they show is at the very beginning of the offseason, before we have any information on injuries, you have a higher ceiling with the team that you build, and your top 1 percentile teams are going to be able to be better than what you have at the very end of the season. But at the end of the season, on average, you're going to score more points. So really what they advise are to not draft too many teams for Best Ball Mania in particular. The puppy drafts, that's going to be different. But for Best Ball Mania in particular, you want to be drafting a decent amount of teams in May and June, and you want to be drafting a decent amount of teams in July and August. And early September, mainly August and September. We are going to be drafting all offseason because they have a ton of different tournaments that we are going to be getting a part of. But you have Alvin Kamara making it to the 301. We saw this one other time. We've seen Alvin Kamara fall to the 3rd in one other draft before, obviously. You have to be very excited for getting Alvin Kamara on the turn. But so that's what I was saying, Zachary, if you've already drafted like 15 of these and say you want to draft like 30 of them total, I would advise, hell yeah, save those other buy-ins. Save the other, 15 times 25. It's like another $400, unless my math is horrendous, which it probably is. But if you want to save that extra $400, $500 and instead use that once we get to August, I completely agree. Okay, C-Law says, are you going to draft Jerry Jeudy or Courtland Sutton for diversification purposes? I apologize. Can't speak. But yes, I will be drafting Jerry Jeudy. I have been drafting Jerry Jeudy a lot. Jerry Jeudy is a very good wide receiver. Jerry Jeudy is the bona fide wide receiver one on this team. If you look at the splits, while both wide receivers are on the field. Jerry Jeudy gets targeted more, scores more fantasy points, has more receptions, has more receiving yards, has more touchdowns, and Jerry Jeudy is about 4 years younger. I'll be drafting a lot of Jerry Jeudy. Courtland Sutton, I don't know. Courtland Sutton, I've not drafted a single time in a Best Ball Mania. Dylan says, finally got in a draft with you. Happy to go up against you, my man. Josh Allen goes to the 306. Really like reaching on Stephon Diggs. Reaching on Stephon Diggs so you can get Josh Allen in the third. Yeah, Stephon Diggs in a vacuum maybe looks like a bad pick compared to some of these other players, but when you're taking him earlier, you're increasing your odds of getting Josh Allen, and not many teams are going to have the combination of the two. Okay, so we went Devonte Adams, Marc Andrews to start off. Zeke goes to the 309. Yum has gone Dalvin Cook in the first and CeeDee Lamb in the second. Double D went with Travis Kelce in the first, sniping us on Kelce, and then Joe Mixon in the second. Okay, so I don't even know what we're rooting for here. Waddle goes. That's what we were rooting for. We were rooting for Waddle to make it back to us. Then Patrick Mahomes. We definitely want two wide receivers. The question is, are we just going to stick to our guns? Are we just going to take the two highest wide receivers according to ADP? So we take Mike Williams here. We have no shot at the Justin Herbert stack, but we have stacking options later on. We're going to go Mike Williams in a best ball format. He should be able to provide us with spike weeks. DJ Moore, if you're looking at a target share perspective, no wide receivers with the target share anywhere close to DJ Moore actually ever last to the end of the third round, the beginning of the fourth round. But DJ Moore is an interesting case of a wide receiver that's playing in a piss poor offense. If you're looking at his yards per route run, if you're looking at his target share, DJ Moore is an analytical darling. All you have to have is above average quarterback play in Carolina for DJ Moore to become an elite level wide receiver. It's boring, but we're going to go wide receiver here. We're going to go Mike Williams and DJ Moore at the turn. Yes, I don't like the quarterback situation in Carolina. I agree. You have to take it into consideration. But if DJ Moore had average quarterback play, if Jimmy Garoppolo got traded to Carolina today, DJ Moore would probably be going here at the 2-3 turn. If you knew you had Jimmy Garoppolo, if you knew you had Baker Mayfield. Okay, so Double D, this is an interesting build. Kelce, Waller, the Mahomes stack with Kelce and Mixon. So going, and this is on RotoViz, when I read this, it was called the bully tight end strategy. And what's also going to happen, we talk about this a decent amount of times, whenever you see another team in your league, very rarely am I doing this. I'm not necessarily advising people to go out there and do this, but you have to take note of what the other teams in your league are going to be doing and how that's going to alter the draft board. Like if you saw a team take both Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, you should know that quarterbacks are going to go up because the supply just went down for the other 11 teams. So very similar to the tight end position. When they go Kelce and Darren Waller, you should know tight ends are probably going to be a little more expensive in this draft. Now, of course, I'm saying that completely biased. When we have Marc Andrews in the first and we're hoping tight ends go off the board, I will 100% admit that. High Society says Underdog available in Canada. Yes, but Underdog is 100% regulated as well. So usually what you have to do when you sign up for Underdog is you have to prove that you're a real person, because keep in mind, you get a 100% deposit match when you sign up with promo code FLOCK. So they can't have one person going and making 20 different accounts and just making unlimited money off of them, obviously. So you're going to have to prove you're a real person. And I think the process through Canada is actually a little bit of a pain in the ass, where I've heard that sometimes you just automatically get rejected and you have to email support. But in the United States, it's very, very simple. Let me read real quick where Underdog is not allowed. Because y'all know everything's regulated. It's like any other DFS company. Like you're going to have, I don't want to say the other names of the DFS companies, but y'all know them. You're going to have some states where you can. Okay, so states you cannot do. It is legal in Canada. First thing that pops up. States you cannot do Underdog Fantasy: Connecticut, Hawaii, Idaho, Nevada, Louisiana, Montana, Washington, Delaware, and Iowa. And I think Michigan just got pulled. I don't know what's going on with Michigan, but since everything's regulated, it has to be good in your state. But like, we don't have sports betting in Florida, but we have Underdog Fantasy. I can say the same thing about Texas when I lived in Texas. Okay. Justin says, I think it's my time to sign up. My man, it was your time to sign up. I don't know how long ago. Okay, so now Chimichanga going out there and loading up with receivers. Kupp, Higgins, A.J. Brown, Terry McLaurin, Chris Godwin. I really like going with wide receivers early, but usually because you can get a David Montgomery and get all those guaranteed running back touches at the beginning of the fifth. So I think usually I'm probably done drafting wide receivers once we get to, say, the beginning of the fifth there, and you already have 4 and you have those running backs available. But that's personally just me. Now let's pull this up. And this coming from someone who has no running back, so I think we're not biased at all when we say this. No Soup for You has taken 3 RBs. They took Cam Akers with pick 40. Feeling a lot more comfortable with this draft whenever we have our wide receivers early. Okay, David Montgomery goes to the 506. Love that pick. You're just getting guaranteed touches. You're getting guaranteed touches at the running back position. Okay, Dane on the clock. They go with the Los Angeles Chargers stack. They went Keenan in the 3rd, Eckler in the 1st, and Herbert in the 4th. This is very similar to what you actually had a couple years ago with people trying to get the trifecta of Kansas City Chiefs players with Hill, Kelsey, and Mahomes. Now, we don't know if they're going to be that good yet. We can't say that with certainty. Juju Smith-Schuster goes to the 508. Michael Thomas to the 509. We possibly should have just gone with Hollywood Brown over DJ Moore, so we could have taken Kyler Murray here. Travis Etienne goes pick 58. I'm probably going to copy what we saw in the last draft. I forgot who did it. It's definitely a reach. Bateman's a better pick, but I really like the idea of grabbing an elite level tight end here. We're probably going to have to draft 6 running backs in this team, but if we grab Kyler Murray, we're done at 2 quarterbacks and 2 tight ends. And if we grab Kyler's an ADP of 60 and Hopkins. There will be some overlap here, but I do not think many teams are going to be able to accomplish the DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray stack. And where we are taking DeAndre Hopkins, I've said this before, but I'm trying to take DeAndre Hopkins on the teams where he is our wide receiver 4. He is our wide receiver 5. So we are going to pass on running back through the first 6 rounds. Very different than what we did in the other draft. But remember, in the other draft, we had crazy values of the running back position falling to us, where here, not so much. So last draft, we had Derrick Henry making it a pick 9. We had Saquon Barkley. Instead of going at pick 24, he went at pick 33. We had J.K. Dobbins making it to us here as well. It's not the case. I'm not getting too excited about Elijah Mitchell, especially when the coaching staff kind of shows us what they think and they go and draft a running back in the 3rd round. But yeah, I think we just go wide receiver, knowing especially how this 6-7 turn is going to go as well. Adam says underdog works everywhere in Canada except Ontario. Okay, so maybe that's why I've heard some people in Canada saying they had to reach out to support or something. Chris says can't draft in Puerto Rico either. I assumed you can't draft. It's mainly United States and Canada. You can play underdog United States and Canada. Josh Jacobs goes at the 606. Let me know, do you think we should have gone Josh Jacobs here at the 5-6 turn? I know probably a lot of people are going to say we should. Based on the running back value that I'm comfortable with getting later on and acknowledging that we will draft 6 of those RBs and grabbing an elite level quarterback so we only have to draft 2 of those, I think we're still in a fine spot. I think we're in a fine spot. Okay, Joe Burrow goes to the 608. Last draft, we got Joe Burrow, I believe, at pick 81. Pick 81 in the last draft. I'm personally also going to be taking this season Jalen Hurts over Joe Burrow. And I haven't really drafted Jamar. I don't think I've drafted Jamar Chase in a single draft yet. Maybe I drafted him in one, but I feel like it's not because I hate Jamar Chase or anything. I will say earlier he was going before Justin Jefferson, and I did not agree with that. We ranked Justin Jefferson over him, and we were taking Justin Jefferson before him. But now all of a sudden you actually do have Justin Jefferson consistently, almost every single draft, going ahead of Jamar Chase. But the reason I'm not really taking him is just because the range he's going in. I don't know where I was going with this, but oh yeah, with Joe Burrow, very rarely am I drafting him because I'm actually preferring Jalen Hurts in this range based on the upgraded receiver core that he has combined with the rushing upside, primarily just the rushing upside. Okay, so Dalton Schultz goes to the 701. Good for us. Chimichong is yet to go running back. I'm assuming he's going... No, A.J. Dillon went. So with A.J. Dillon off the board, yeah, if you're Chimichanga, you're kind of stuck in a spot where it's very hard for you to go RB. It's very hard for you to go running back. Really, Antonio Gibson never makes it here either to the end of the 6th round. You're primarily just looking at, actually, Elijah Mitchell as well. Elijah Mitchell went very early in this draft, but usually at the 6-7 turn, you're looking at the combination of Antonio Gibson, of A.J. Dillon and Elijah Mitchell. And I'm fine taking A.J. Dillon and Elijah Mitchell in this range if you're taking him as your running back 1. But to go through and reach over someone like Traylon Burks, I agree with you. I think you're pot committed at that point. You probably can't. Okay, so now Brady is still available. Has the Evans team passed on Brady? Yeah, the Evans team passed on Brady. Okay, so we have not drafted a running back yet. I'm assuming we're probably going to have a couple options we like here. Tom Brady goes to the 709. It's hard for us to take Dak whenever we don't have Lamb, especially knowing that it's going to be difficult for us to get the stacks later on with Gallup. And Jalen Tolbert has gotten to a range where I don't really think I'm drafting Jalen Tolbert. Like I saw him earlier today go over Jahan Dotson. I'm like, I realize Dotson was selected in the 1st round, right? Okay, so Corey coming out says, 112 rookie pick. Are we going to go Damien Pierce, Isaiah Spiller, Rachaad White? Hopefully none of the above. Hopefully instead we're going to go with the wide receiver we just mentioned in Jahan Dotson or George Pickens if either option are available. I'm not excited about the running back tier in this year's rookie draft around that point. Now, if we had to pick one, I would probably end up going with, I want to say Rachaad White. I think most people are going to go Damien Pierce. I really want to say Rachaad White, though. Okay, so Miles Sanders at the 712. And beyond that, what do we want? Spam the chat right now. It's up to y'all. I'm giving it up to y'all. Out of my hands. Patterson or Walker. Spam it. Spam it right now. Spam it right now, please. Okay, Ricky says Patterson. Okay, people are saying Patterson. Almost everybody was saying Patterson. We're going to go with Cordell Patterson. I do like Cordell Patterson more in best ball, and especially if we're taking him as our running back 2 here. I think Kenneth Walker would be a player I'm more comfortable taking as our running back 3 or running back 4, knowing that the 90th percentile outcome for Kenneth Walker is probably a little bit better than Cordell Patterson. But with Patterson, we are getting a guaranteed role here. I mean, this is at worst going to be a wide receiver 3 playing as a running back. So I think we're fine going with Miles Sanders, Cordell Patterson as our top 2 options this upcoming year. Even though when we say that out loud, it's definitely gross. But we have the elite tight end, Marc Andrews. We have the elite quarterback, Kyler Murray, Adams, Mike Williams, DJ Moore, DeAndre Hopkins, wide receiver, running back, Miles Sanders, Cordell Patterson. So yeah, our running back position's pretty gross, but I think we're strong overall. At least I would like to tell myself we're strong overall. Okay. So Dallas Goedert goes at the 805. Colin says, I'm in a very weird draft. Herbert at the 106 and Tua at the 107. When you see that go, that's legitimately why I enjoy doing the drafts off the live stream more than I on. Like, it's crappy to say. I really like talking to y'all and bouncing ideas off with y'all. I hate drafting against y'all because whenever you get in those public drafts, like if you see a Justin Herbert at the 106 and a Tua at the 507, keep in mind, Underdog Fantasy, this isn't charity. They're doing it to be a business. They're doing it to be profitable. Like, and they're paying me to get y'all to sign up, and they pay you to get y'all for you to sign up with promo code FLOCK. So how they make money is they take, I think we saw it was 11.2%, which is a very low rate. If you're looking across the industry, 11.2% is nothing, especially with how solid of a contest this is. But anyway, they're taking 11%, pretty much 10%, one entry of everyone. So when you see a team going in there and taking Justin Herbert in the middle of the first, and you see them taking Tua Tagovailoa in the 5th, they're just paying that rake. They're going, yeah, everybody else, y'all can draft for free. Y'all draft for free. I'll pay the rake. So I love drafting with that. But when I'm drafting with y'all, nobody's doing that. Nobody's going to Justin Herbert in the first. So it does suck. Jayan says, drafting with noobs better than drafting with degenerates. Yes, I agree with you. Especially if There's nothing better than seeing a team that's on auto draft, knowing that they are going to have like 2 wide receivers throughout the entire draft, and they're going to get to round 17 and then legitimately take their third option, like Odell Beckham Jr. And you're like, okay, thank you. Okay, so Damien Harris, Kareem Hunt go off the board at the end of the 8th. So Chimichanga gets his first running back in Damien Harris here. Dak Prescott makes it to the 8-12. This team stacks up Schultz and Dak Prescott at fantastic values. You have to be very excited if you're BTX here. Very excited. Dawson Knox in the 903. Doom says, I've gotten auto drafted a few times already. That's one thing I wanted to, I don't know how I say this. Maybe I just tweet it out. Please, if you just think about it, you are lighting that money on fire. So say we want to come out here and we want to win 10% of our leagues. And if we win 10% of your leagues, that's above average. The average is 8.3%. So if you want to win 10% of your leagues and then 1 out of every 20 leagues you auto draft, you throw 5% of your drafts in the garbage. That makes it so much more difficult. So if you ever think there's a chance, if you think your wife, if you think your girlfriend, if you think your kids are going to call you into the other room and you have to stop drafting, you have to put your phone down, do not enter a draft. Do not enter a draft because you will just be lighting your money on fire if you have to auto draft. Unless you're in a draft with me, then enter 11 spots, auto draft all 11 for me. Obviously, don't do that. That was a joke. Please don't submit that to Underdog. Okay, so MVS going at the 907. Ertz goes to the 908. Good for us. We need to see tight ends off the board. We need tight ends off. No Soup for You doesn't have a tight end. I don't think they can reach on Frymuth, though. They go to Sean Watson at the 909. Carr goes to the... We were going Carr to pair up with Devonte Adams. I really wanted to bring Derek Carr in here. I love the Robert Woods value, but the issue is we cannot take Robert Woods on the same team where we have DeAndre Hopkins. Colin says, now Gronk goes to the 607. Yeah, sometimes people just get in a draft and have no idea what they're doing. They're pressing random buttons. We are going Trey Lance here. It sucks that we don't have stack potential with Lance. I mean, you already have Ayuk, you already have Debo off the board, but Lance is one of my favorite quarterbacks. He has the rushing upside, so you don't necessarily need the stack as well. So we're going to go with Trey Lance at pick 108, and I think we're probably going to mix it up. You know what? We're going to do something people hate. I know you are going to hate my guts when we do this. We only have Miles Sanders, Cordell Patterson at running back, but it's not like we are incredibly strong at receiver. We're going to grab another wide receiver here. We can't take Robert Woods. Do we want Gallup or Claypool? Let's go ahead and take Michael Gallup as our wide receiver 5. The reason that I'm doing this is the last tier of viable wide receivers. The wide receiver drop-off is going to happen very soon. Very soon. So I know people want Edmonds. I know people want Melvin Gordon. They will 100% be off the board by the time we are back up. We have no chance at getting those players. A 0% chance. I acknowledge that. But the wide receiver drop-off that we are about to see is going to be pretty insane. I prefer Robert Woods over Gallup in a vacuum. The issue is we cannot take Robert Woods and DeAndre Hopkins on the same team. So we'll take Gallup here and we'll get those dice, roll them, and hopefully have a couple of running backs making it back to us. We're drafting 6 RBs on this team. It's going to be a pure 0 running back build, a true 0 RB team. You have Robert Woods, Jameson Williams, Tyler Boyd, Chase Claypool, all going off the board. Kadarius Toney at the 10:06. This is kind of what I was talking about. The wide receiver drop off usually, like by the time we get back up here at the beginning of the 12th and the end of the 11th, I am uncertain with what we are going to have. And if you're looking at our position, keep in mind we're not that strong because we went with the elite tight end. We went with 2 elite level quarterbacks. Outside of Hopkins, who's missing the first 6 weeks, we have Devonte Adams, Mike Williams, and DJ Moore, and that's it. And that is it. Rory says, Rondell Moore's question mark. Thank you for calling that out. Thank you for calling that out. Rondell Moore actually maybe will be available at the 11-12 turn. We'll see if Rondale Moore is available. I probably end up going Rondale Moore if he is available. GL Reed says, why can't Woods and Hopkins be on the same team? Gallup won't play the first month. I'm pretty sure that Robert Woods suffered his injury after Michael Gallup. Also, Michael Gallup's a little bit younger. If Michael Gallup had his injury after Robert Woods, I am just a doofus. Let me look this up. That would be very embarrassing. Okay, Michael Gallup. Oh, dear God, you may be right. You may be right. Oh, yeah, Rondale Moore goes here at the 11-10. I am so dumb. You are... I should have gone Robert Woods. You're 100% right. Gallup may miss more time this upcoming season than Robert Woods. Oh. Bad pick. If I could go back and do a time machine, if I could travel to the past, we're going Robert Woods here over Gallup. That's a mistake we are not going to... That's a mistake we're not going to make again. Mix up the dates. I thought Robert Woods suffered a season-ending injury after Michael Gallup, but sometimes you are wrong, and it's okay to admit that. Okay, so let's pull this back up. We cannot take another quarterback. So, you know what we are hoping for at this point? Get Kirk Cousins off the board, please. Get Tua off the board. Alexander Madison goes. Okay, so this team doesn't have a QB. They don't have a Viking. Yum Yum has Dalvin. They also only have 2 running backs, though. They have no tight ends either. I guess No Soup for You also has no tight ends. They only have 4 wide receivers, though. Yeah, and then you have Gronk going at the 11:07. So it's not like both of these teams can take a tight end. So you probably have Robert Tonyan going to one of these. But I would be surprised they reached on Alberto or Irv Smith Jr. Ramondre Stevenson off the board at the 11:08. Robert Tonyan, so he goes. So now we're essentially hoping that Ronald Jones makes it back to us. He probably won't. See what Yum Yum does. Yeah, because we have to dodge both these bullets with Rojo. Yeah, Rojo goes. We didn't really have a shot at Rojo. Okay, Double D. What are you about? Devontae Parker. Okay. So it sucks. Yes, quarterback's best player available. But we can't go QB. We can't. We took Kyler. We took Lance. We have Isaiah Spiller, Michael Carter. Completely fine with these running backs in this range. Running back 3, running back 4. What I like about both of these running backs is they are going to have roles in their offenses. Now, yes, those roles should be small. As I have stated, Breece Hall will be a 3-down RB, which is why we were screaming after the NFL draft when people were still taking Michael Carter over Alexander Madison, when they were still taking him over Tony Pollard, that it was one of the worst picks in fantasy. But we just need some touches on a week-to-week basis. Some touches on a week-to-week basis. We will get that from Isaiah Spiller and Michael Carter. And if we were to have an injury occurred to either Austin Eckler or Breece Hall, then we would have upside for more. So those are going to be the perfect 0 running back targets that we can have. Now, Irv Smith Jr. goes to the 12:03. I do probably prefer Irv Smith Jr. in a vacuum over these RBs, but we had 2 running backs through that so far. So we have to go through and we have to get them. GL says, Hassan Haskins, Derrick Henry is going to be injured. The thing is, it's hard to project a running back like that to just go through and step into a Derrick Henry level workload. It's really hard to do it. Like, I'd be more comfortable taking an Isaiah Spiller, a Michael Carter that have standalone value as well. While, yes, they're never going to go out there and be a top 24 running back when the other running back in their backfield is healthy. But hell, they could be a low-end running back 3, a high-end running back 4, which we actually kind of need that, because if they can fall into the end zone any random week, it's going to be great. And if we could just stay alive, stay afloat until we get to the tournament, and then you have an injury to Austin Eckler, that's how you win this. Dylan says, really wanted Ronald Jones to fall. Yeah, I would have preferred having Rojo as well. I think I would have preferred having Rojo over Michael Carter. Justin Fields goes to the 12-9. Jahan Dotson at the 12-10. Love the Jahan Dotson selection. Justin Fields also great value. The issue is sometimes in some of these drafts, quarterback just really does fall. And it makes you look like an absolute idiot when you take 2 quarterbacks inside the top 10 rounds as we did. I'm very comfortable with what we did though. Okay. This is our second draft. We are closing in on 200 likes. We've had 1,600 views on this live stream. If this live stream gets to 300 likes, which I know a lot of people watching this right now have not dropped a like on the live stream. If this gets to 300 likes, we will go through and we will get another draft going after this one. Okay. Another one. Okay. So Jalen Tolbert at the 13-01, Jamison Crowder at the 12-12. I don't even know what we're hoping for. We're hoping for quarterbacks to go off the board. We want that. I don't know if we need running backs, wide receivers, or tight ends falling. We can only take one more tight end. If we do get a value falling to us, we will be willing to take it. Okay. Yeah. And there are some tight end values falling. So maybe we end up getting a tight end with this turn pick. Trevor Lawrence goes to the 13-03. Cole Kmet, 13-04. If we're talking about any potential, like, you have no potential stacks here. It sucks. But if we're talking about a quarterback that I'm fine not having a stack with, that quarterback would actually be Trey Lance because the rushing upside. Like Trey Lance, Jalen Hurts, I think you can actually have standalone value with them based on the fact that you're not really banking on the passing volume in those two offenses to get you there. You're more so banking on just the rushing upside for that quarterback in particular. KC Bulldog says, watch your video earlier today. How do you feel about Rondale Moore for a 2023 third round rookie pick? Get Rondale Moore easily over the 2023 third round pick. Okay, so now let's do. Yeah, so even with tight ends, I guess we could take Trey McBride in the last round. I actually kind of like that idea. Trey McBride's not going drafted in really any of these. I like the idea of grabbing Trey McBride and Kyler Murray and just praying that Trey McBride can be Pat Frymuth from last year. No soup for you. Go Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill, pick 153. GL Reed, I think he just said in the chat right before we said, I don't know if he said it after or before us, but coming out and mentioning the Trey McBride with Kyler. Let's see what value makes it to us, though. Robinson goes, I actually really like the idea of taking Kenneth Gainwell on a zero running back team in particular. And then probably David Bell. I really like me some David Bell. I just don't want to be adding a rookie whenever we have no Gallup and have no Hopkins. I really didn't think that Gallup got injured so late in the season. Someone in the chat said he had his surgery in February. I really thought it happened earlier. Okay, so yeah, we will go through. We'll take both of those. Now we are going to get one more running back in this draft, and we are going to get one more tight end, and the rest is just receiver. Receiver. It's LB says, draft Juwan Jennings for wide receiver 3 with Trey Lance. Maybe. I know he was a player a lot of people were drafting in the NFL playoff contest last year. They did, I believe, draft a wide receiver in the 3rd round, Danny Gray, to be their field stretcher. Let me pull that up. Okay, so Matt Ryan at the 1405. Joshua Palmer at the 1406. Yeah, Danny Gray, it was a compensatory pick in the 3rd round, but still was the 3rd round selection. He's just going to be their field stretcher. He ran a 4.33 40-yard dash. Really did not have much production at all at SMU. He didn't break out till his senior season. Danny Gray looks very bad, but he could be taking away a decent amount of snaps from Juwan Jennings. Matthew says, David Njoku seems like an insane value here. Yeah, I mean, definitely, if you look, tight end fell overall in this entire draft. David Njoku does end up going at the 1408. Well, you could have made the argument for us to go with, say, a Hunter Henry with this Kenneth Gainwell or David Bell pick. But the issue is I do want to have that in our back pocket where we could go Trey Mcbride in the last round because nobody ever drafts Trey Mcbride. Trey Mcbride goes undrafted in almost every single one of these. Okay, Noah Fant at the 14-11. Let's pull this down. Hopefully these 3 quarterbacks are off the board by the time we are back up. We got 12 picks to go. Falling about 10 picks each in their ADP. But if you look, a lot of teams have 2 quarterbacks. Dak, Stafford. Okay, yeah, if you have Dak, Stafford, you're not taking a third, or at least you shouldn't. This team only has Jalen Hurts, Lamar, Lawrence, Wilson, Fields, Burrow, Rodgers. Yeah, Burrow, Rodgers. I don't think you can take another quarterback if you go Burrow, Rodgers. Allen, Herbert, Tua, Ryan. Okay, so that Tua, Ryan team's definitely taking another. Brady and Watson. I guess with Brady having a bye week of week 11, you could get away with potentially only drafting 2. Deshaun Watson is just such a wild card. And then Mahomes Cousins. I don't know if you could draft a third quarterback with Mahomes Cousins. I probably wouldn't. Dylan says, went unconventional in the style this draft at the 111. What are your thoughts? Okay, so let's go through. Let's pull this up for Dylan. We are 8 picks away. Okay, so we have some time. Okay, so 111 here. Travis Kelce, Darren Waller. We talked about this earlier. And then Joe Mixon is the anchor running back. Mahomes to get the stack. What I don't like is I don't like this Elijah Mitchell selection at the 602. I think you already created such a unique start with both of these tight ends. And taking Mixon here, I think I would prefer to pass on Elijah Mitchell, especially if you were going to get Clyde Edwards-Helaire to get the trifecta with the Kansas City Chiefs. And instead, taking your favorite wide receiver out of this group, I probably would have gone Rashad Bateman. Lockett, love it. Lazard. I like Alan Lazard there. Robert Woods, great pick as well. Devontae Parker. Kirk Cousins at the 1202. This is another thing. I think when you go Mahomes and you have Kelce as well, I'm probably passing on quarterback in this range in favor of one of these wide receivers like a Jahan Dotson and just getting a quarterback option a little bit later on. And then James Robinson at the 1311. Completely fine with Corey Davis. Yeah, so I think my big thing is the only thing I would change is the Elijah Mitchell selection at the 602 because I think you have a unique enough team where you don't really have to try to go through and go, okay, well, let's grab an off-the-wall player here. So not many people can follow up with us. Okay, so we can grab 1 more running back, 2 more receivers, and 1 more tight end. Raheem Mostert at the 1510. Okay, so these quarterbacks are falling. Like I said, I don't think we can grab a QB. Like, yes, they're fantastic values. Fantastic values. But we just can't do it. Okay, so we're probably going to go back-to-back wide receivers. Yeah, Jamal Williams goes. We're going to grab AJ Green. AJ Green should be able to help us out at the beginning of the season to cover up from the loss of Gallup and Hopkins. And then outside of that, we're just looking for a wide receiver that can have access to some spike weeks. Obviously, you have that with Donovan Peoples-Jones. The question is, does Will Fuller resign? Donovan Peoples-Jones, he has a much better quarterback overall than Curtis Samuel. We saw spike weeks last season as well. Let's go Donovan Peoples-Jones. Okay. So, hopefully this wide receiver room is good enough to make it. I know most people are screaming that the running backs are horrible. Honestly, when we grab our 6 RB here, I'm going to be fine with the running back position. It's more so I want to know that this wide receiver room has path to the elite level ceiling we are looking for. We have it at quarterback. We have it at tight end. Running back, we're just going to be serviceable. Really, with running back, I mean, it's a 0 RB team. You have to have an injury to either Eckler, to Michael Carter. You have to have Cordell Patterson repeating what he did last season. Like, we have to have things break right. We know that it's a low probability, but we're trying to raise that ceiling instead of that floor. Okay, so let's go through and changes. And remember, if we get 300 likes in this live stream is at over 1,700 views, we will go through and we will get another draft going after this. Daniel Jones goes to the 1605. That's good for us. That's to a team that has Tua and Matt Ryan as their top 2 guys. Completely agree. I think you should go Daniel Jones there. I think that I don't even know what we should see coming off the board soon. I already know it. Running back, we're just going to get another 0 running back target. We're going to end up getting someone like Samaje Perine, like Donta Foreman, just someone hoping that we have an injury and hoping that we have access to an elite ceiling. And then with tight end, like we said, we're going to go Trey Mcbride. Let Go says, how much is the next draft? The next draft, if we do one, would be $25. We're just doing Best Ball Manias right now. I'm trying to get as many Best Ball Manias as I can now before we really have news coming out of camp and players' values start shifting all over the board, because I want as much chaos as possible right now. As much chaos as possible. It will lower our floor dramatically on the teams we are drafting, but it will also raise the ceiling. Okay, Donta Foreman goes to the 1607. Brian Robinson to the 1608. Devin Duvernay directly afterwards. Good for us to see wide receivers going off the board. When we have when we have 8 wide receivers, and when we waited as long as we did for running backs, I think we almost have to draft 6 running backs. I don't think we have an option. Okay, so Wandel Robinson at the 1610. Love that Wandel Robinson selection. Like, if we're talking about just pure talent of a player, I am convinced that Wandel Robinson is a significantly better receiver than a lot of these guys going ahead of him. I mean, look at Jalen Tolbert. Jalen Tolbert going almost always 50 picks ahead of Wandel Robinson. Now, of course, the reason for this is you have Dak Prescott. You have the Dallas Cowboys offense, which should be close to first in plays run, pace of play. They were first in points scored last year. And this team's also going through and they're building around that Dak Prescott stack. They have Dak Prescott. They got him to fall at the end of the 8th. And then they went through and got Jalen Tolbert at the 1301, James Washington at the 1612. And they took, I believe, they were able to bring down Dalton Schultz earlier in this draft. Okay, so Hassan Haskins at the 1712. Fine with Haskins. I don't think I've drafted Hassan Haskins in a single draft this year, regardless if it's Dynasty or if it's... Maybe I am just burnt from former Derrick Henry backup running backs that never got there outside of Donta Foreman. But remember, Donta Foreman, like, that's the issue, is going through and drafting those handcuff running backs that you haven't seen it from before. Even if the injury does occur in front of them, you never know if you pick the right guy. You never know. And Hassan Haskins, he doesn't really have a profile to get too excited about. He's big. He's 228 pounds, but he really does look like just a guy. Okay. It's about to pick 204. And let's just go through and let's queue up our guy, Trey McBride. Yeah, ADP 213. Like you see, these players just never get drafted. Never. I feel like if you're going to take some long shots on a position to try to find someone that not many people are rostering, tight end probably would be the spot to do it. Mo Alley Cox wouldn't be a horrible pick. Is Harrison Bryant wouldn't be the worst pick. Adam Troutman wouldn't. Donald Parham, he's probably done. But, okay, so good. We got some quarterbacks coming off the board in the middle of the 17th. Ryan Tannehill, still available. How is that even possible? Okay, I'd imagine these teams kind of have to go receiver. Kendrick Bourne of the 1708. I guess if you have Derek Carr or Zach Wilson, I personally probably would go with QB. But if you think about it, he also is betting, he's saying, okay, he knows I'm not taking another quarterback. You don't know if Double D is as well. So even if he wants to grab Tannehill, he can probably do it in the 18th round if he wants to make the bet that Double D won't go through and take him from him. Let me go over to Twitter real quick and look up, see if there's been any news. Okay, so he doesn't make the bet that Double D would pass on him. He just goes ahead and grabs Ryan Tannehill. Has there been any news on Marlon Mack? Like, why am I now getting Marlon Mack in the last round after never drafting him previously? Let me go through and look this up. See if... Was that? No, there's... Yeah, there's no news on Marlon Mack. Oh, crap. Marlon Mack just went. I guess we probably shouldn't have said that. So now we're not going to draft these running backs that are going in every single draft. I don't necessarily see anything that's too special for them. I would rather scroll down and I'd rather grab someone that's not really being drafted. I'd rather grab someone that I think has upside if the starter were to go down ahead of him. We're going to grab Samaje Perine. He did have a role as a pass catcher at the end of last year. And with Samaje Perine, one thing I will admit, you don't necessarily know if that role is going to stay intact this upcoming season or if they want to use Chris Evans more. But if I had to bet on the backup running back in Cincinnati, it would be Samaje Perine. So we're going to go ahead and grab grab them there. And let me show y'all the draft board one last time. I'm very happy with this draft. We got 2 elite quarterbacks. We got an elite level tight end. I think we were able to put enough running backs together with our group of 6 where we have access to a high ceiling for the tournament. If we can get to the tournament, of course, you have to get there first, but 2 out of 12 teams get there. So we're going to have a decent amount of entries be able to make it. But I think that should be it. Yeah, it looks like we did not get enough likes to keep this going. I am about to piss myself as well. Of course, thank you. I really do appreciate all y'all. I hope you have a great day. And based on how much positive feedback I have gotten, how many people are telling me they're enjoying making these drafts on Underdog Fantasy, we're going to keep doing this every single day. Thank you again. I appreciate you. And I hope I get to see you tomorrow.